Hello, and thank you for joining us today in our study of the book of Psalms. Today we're in Psalm 120. Having finished up the lengthy Psalm 119, we now come into several what are normally shorter psalms as far as that goes. As a matter of fact, our psalm for today is only 7 verses in length. Now, it begins a section for about the next 15 psalms, Psalm 120 through Psalm 134, that are generally called songs of ascent or songs of ascents. And it's not exactly known what this particular section refers to in clarity, but in general, they are considered songs of going up. So usually, most people place upon them the importance of being songs that were utilized either when people went up to Jerusalem as they were traveling up into the city where the temple was, or moving up within the city toward the steps of the temple, going up to worship. And that these would be songs of mindset with many different things. And we see that in Psalm 120 because here the mindset is all about deliverance from lying lips. So let's look at what the psalmist says here in Psalm 120. Beginning in verse 1, we read, "In my distress I cried to the Lord, and he heard me. Deliver my soul, O Lord, from lying lips and from a deceitful tongue. What shall be given to you? Or what shall be done to you, you false tongue? Sharp arrows of the warrior with coals of the broom tree. Woe is me that I dwell in Meshech, that I dwell among the tents of Kedar. My soul has dwelt too long with one who hates peace. I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war." As you look at Psalm 120, you have the individual, and it's an anonymous psalm. We don't know who the author is, but we have an individual who is seeking God's help in the midst of lies that are being told and vicious words that are being spoken, and striving to continue to do what is right. As we look at the psalm, we could look at it and say, well, there's not really anything to talk about here, but there really is. And there's several levels of things that we can look at, grow from, and discuss. I want to look at a couple of them and then maybe allow you to delve into some of the other aspects of it. In verse 4, you have this statement that's made of sharp arrows of the warrior and coals of the broom tree. Now, this particular statement is in response to the question of verse 3. And the question is, what shall be given to you, or what shall be done to you, you false tongue? So, for the liar, for the false tongue, for the one who is causing all this mischief and all of these problems, what is going to happen? Well, he says, sharp arrows of the warrior. So, in other words, there may very well be a physical response of people not being willing to take it and responding sometimes even violently to it. In other words, it's not going to go without a response. But then you also have the statement, and with coals of the broom tree. And this is kind of that element of fire and destruction that are discussed many times when it comes to judgment. And so you have this visual reminder that those who are being deceitful and those who are causing problems through lies and through dishonor are not going to go unanswered, and they are going to face the consequences for their lies and their deceit in times to come. But then you also have the statement down in verse 7, and actually backing up to verses 6 and 7, where there the psalmist says, "My soul has dwelt too long with one who hates peace. I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war." There are certain individuals who are not for peace. They are always trying to stir up strife. They are always complaining. There is always something wrong, and things are never good enough, or things are never beneficial enough for them. And it's not going to matter what you do, it's not going to matter how you respond, how far you bend over, any of those things. Those individuals are never going to be contented because they're not for peace, they're for war. And we're not just talking about the physical war, but we're talking in many ways about a verbal war. There's always the desire for an argument or for a complaint or for something to be wrong. The psalmist here says, I am for peace. But he also says in verse 6, my soul has dwelt too long with one who hates peace. You know, there comes a point where the only way to gain peace is to remove ourselves from the ones who are causing war and division. Being for peace, yes, it means that we have to stand up for truth, but at the same time, there are limits to where we can go to find peace, because it's impossible to find peace with someone who is not willing to seek it. And so you have here in Psalm 120 this emphasis on the destructive nature of lies and deceit, the consequences of lies and deceit, but also the fact that if we are going to be ones who seek for peace, sometimes we have to simply remove ourselves from those who are unwilling to foster it. These are some of the things that I see in Psalm 120, and there's more that we could delve deeper into. But I hope that these help give you some guideposts for the psalm. Thank you for watching the video today, and next time we'll come back and we'll look at Psalm 121. I hope that you'll join us then. But until then, have a great day.